Good morning, members of the jury. Good morning. You are back, and I'm glad to see you. We are here now for the so-called penalty phase of this case. In this part, the jury has the sole discretion whether this defendant, Natalie Page Cochran, convicted of first-degree murder, should receive mercy. As in the guilt phase, which has already been determined, your verdict must be unanimous. If you recommend parole eligibility, the defendant may be considered eligible for parole after serving 15 years in prison. If you do not recommend parole eligibility, in other words, if you do not recommend mercy, the defendant will receive a life sentence and never be eligible for parole. All right, we switch things up a little bit from what you're used to. In this phase of the case, the court will permit the defense to go forward first. All right, I'll ask Mr. Victor or Mr. Selden to please call their first witness.
Your Honor, I believe you mentioned brief opening statements.
All right, if you wish to present an opening statement, that would be fine.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court, and all of the spectators. Now, as the judge has told you, we are now entering the penalty phase where you, the jury, and only you, will decide the penalty for Natalie Cochran. As the judge has told you, she's now been convicted of first-degree murder of her husband, Michael, and you, the jury, have to decide if she spends the rest of her life in prison, which would be no mercy, or if she becomes eligible for parole after 15 years, which means you grant her mercy. We'll be calling a number of witnesses that will testify to Natalie Cochran's character, things she has done prior to her conviction, things she has done that indicate her character and her ability to be rehabilitated while in prison. The sum total of why Natalie Cochran, we hope and implore you to grant her mercy. I hope you listen carefully to what they have to say without prejudging them. And again, we beg you to give mercy to Natalie Cochran. Thank you.
Mr. Truman.
Thank you. Good morning. This will be a lot less information than you had to absorb over the last 2 weeks, and you're thinking, thank goodness. Well, we couldn't have made up a stranger procedure than this, but this is the procedure. The defense is right. You won't get any guidance. You won't get any instructions other than what Judge Kirkpatrick just went over with you. There's really no criteria. You are totally in charge, completely in charge. It's whatever you feel is appropriate. And for that, the state will be putting on some evidence also of what we think accurately portrays the defendant's character. And at the end of it, you'll go back in your jury room and you'll decide, is this defendant worthy of parole at some point or not? And that's it. That's your sole job remaining in this case. So we'll see how the evidence unfolds, and we'll see what you think when you come back out of your jury room with a decision. Thank you.
All right, now, Mr. Selden, please call your first witness.
Your Honor, we would like to call Penny Carrico Lowery to the stand.
Very well.
You okay?
Yes, I'll be fine.
Okay. I know these proceedings they're hard on everyone. Please tell us your name and the correct spelling of it.
Penny Lowery, Penny Lowery.
Do you know Natalie Cochran?
Yes.
Do you have any family relationship to her?
Yes, she's my baby sister.
Okay. So you've known Natalie virtually all of her life?
Yes.
I would like you to tell this jury any aspects of Natalie's character, her good works, her actions towards others in the community. I'm leaving it pretty open for you to convince this jury as to why they should grant your little sister mercy. And feel free to go into any details that you think they might like to hear. Okay?
Yeah. I was thinking about this last night. I know that you don't see her like I see her. And I was 12 years old when she was born, so she was like my little baby doll. And I just remember her, just things about her, like she would come to my room and sleep with me.
Okay.
She was afraid of the dark and...
Go slowly.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I know you want to get it all out.
Yes.
But I want to make sure the jury hears everything. So, slowly, please.
So when I see her, I see that little girl that came to my room every night and was afraid of the dark and would sleep with me. And I see the little girl that I drove to and from school every day. And then on Saturdays, I would want to watch what I wanted to watch. And she always wanted to watch My Little Pony. And we would do that together. I watched her grow up, and she was a beautiful, smart woman. And I was there, we helped plan her wedding. I was with her when she had her kids.
Okay, again,
I'm sorry.
I know. I'm having a little trouble
Okay.
hearing and following you. I know you're extremely emotional. We understand that.
Yes.
Just a little slower, please. Thank you.
Are you all understanding me?
Okay.
So I watched her become this woman and have her kids, and I love her and I love Michael. And I remember one time, I was thinking last night that I asked them to babysit for me when my daughter was a little baby, and they were so excited. They weren't married yet, and they came over and kept her, and I was gone for a few hours, and she was awful. And I came home, and Michael said, "We are never having kids." But then they had those beautiful 2 kids, and I always loved them so much. And now all 40 plus years of her, you've seen her just this short amount of time. She is good. She's done so many great, so helpful, and she would help people. She wrote a devotion book. We grew up in church, and she knows what right from wrong. And we've been taught to be forgiving. And I look at my family, and I'm just begging you for mercy for those kids and for my mom and dad. Giving her mercy does not mean she'll get out of prison. It means there's hope for a parole. She's been in prison already. She's missed every milestone that, their graduation and Nikki's prom. She'll miss weddings and probably when they have their babies. I don't think my mom and dad will be alive when she gets out. I just pray that you give some hope. Hope is a powerful thing. There's a statement that says, life without hope is ceasing to live. And I think those kids need some hope to see their mom as she gets older. They've hurt the most. We've all hurt, but they've been hurting the most. They need her. This is the only family they've known. They've been raised by their grandparents. They're 77. I just need, begging you to please consider giving her some mercy. It doesn't mean she'll be paroled, but give her that chance to be reformed and to do better. We love her. We just plead with you to do that for her.
You've talked briefly about Natalie's character prior to this conviction. What kind of person was she? And can you talk about any contributions to the community, anything like that?
Of course, they always gave back. She worked in the Church of Awanas, and she did all the Little League sports. Anything that her kids needed, she was there. We would always go shopping every year to Pigeon Forge at Thanksgiving when the men would go hunting, and she always made sure her kids had what they needed before she bought herself. She never bought herself anything. She served on committees in our community. She served with all the sports. And
What kind of committees?
with just like team mom, and then served as officers on these sports teams like football and baseball, and she did a lot of things like that. She would do Bible school for the kids, and that was her priority, her family, and they did everything together.
She's been in federal prison for a couple of years now. Do you know anything about her activities while she's been in prison?
I do. I know that she teaches classes, and I know that she's helped, I don't know all the details, but she's helped with helping people get their GEDs. She does devotion. She wrote a devotion book in prison, and she's a friend to a lot of those people.
I don't have any more specific questions. Is there anything else you would like the jury to hear?
Just asking them to please consider this for those kids, especially for our family, and what you see there is our family, and we need this, please. We need some hope.
Okay. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Ms. Lowery, the defendant grew up to be a little bit different than she was when she was your little sister, 12 years younger than you. Turned out a little bit different than what it looked like at the time, didn't it?
I mean, I don't know what that means, different. I know you found her guilty of this, but she was still my sister. I mean, I always trusted and loved her.
Absolutely. And blood is very thick. You're loyal to your sister. Fair enough?
Yes.
You're also an educator by training, correct?
Yes.
Do you think there should be consequences for misbehavior?
Yes.
And it should be proportional to what the misbehavior was, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I also believe that fair is not equal and equal is not fair. I just think a lot of things have to be considered. I know that there's been mercy given to people that did a lot worse.
Okay. We'll just accept that. The last time you testified in this case, you didn't recall how much you lost in your investments with the defendant. Did you go back and check?
I did. I said it was around $50,000.
And is that what it was?
I told you I didn't keep accurate records. She would use my credit card, then I'd pay some, and then I'd give her more and pay, and I just never really kept. But I was $50,000 in the hole, and everything was said and done.
Where did that money come out of your retirement or something?
No,
Just cash you have?
Actually, it was more on my credit cards.
Oh, okay. So when you had to pay your credit card bills, you were paying the principal, or did you pay them off each month, or
It
did you
just
have interest?
depended. It just depended. I tried to do as much as I could. I was a single mom at the time.
Oh, okay. In her federal case, she pled guilty to the wire fraud and money laundering, right?
I don't know what the exact charges were, but she
Okay.
did plead guilty.
Right.
I don't remember. I don't know the exact charges.
Okay. And you'd mentioned her contributing to the community.
Yes.
Were you aware of some scholarships, the Legacy, Michael Cochran Legacy scholarships?
Yes.
Those scholarships were awarded by the defendant,
Yes, I think so.
but they were never funded, were they?
No.
But she did raise some money for the Michael Cochran scholarships, Legacy scholarships, correct?
I do not know.
Okay. You just know that in her community activities, she awarded them, but those kids never got a dime.
Correct.
Your Honor, I think that's all the state has in this witness. Thank you.
All right. Anything further, Mr. Selden?
Is it okay if I call you Penny?
Yes.
The prosecutor asked you about money for scholarship fund, etc.
Yes.
Were you aware that the government seized all of the assets of Natalie? And among those seized assets were any monies, etc., that might have been paid to these scholarship funds?
I don't know what the money was for, but I do know that the government seized a lot of her money, all of her funds.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further, Mr. Truman?
Those scholarships were awarded in May of 2019, correct?
I don't recall the. I mean, I guess that was the date. I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. But the search warrant wasn't until the following month, and she wasn't convicted till like September.
I don't recall the dates, but I know that it was in the summer.
Is Rachel your daughter?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all the state has, Your Honor. Thanks.
Anything, Mr. Selden?
Yes, sir. Now, I just want a complete understanding of these scholarships. They were awarded in the summer to the students, is that right?
They were awarded, I think, at the end of the school year.
Okay. And the monies to be paid for these scholarships was for the following school year, isn't that right?
Yes.
And all of this investigation into the Ponzi scheme and the seizing of her money, all that occurred before the school year started, isn't that correct?
Yes.
No other questions?
Anything, Mr. Truman?
Nothing from the state. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lowery. You may step down. You are excused.
Thank you.
Call your next witness, Mr. Selden.
Your Honor, we would like to call Lacey Treadway as our next witness. Your Honor, it does not appear as if Ms. Treadway is here, so we will call Sharon England.
All right.
Would you please state your full name and how you spell it?
Sharon England, SharonEngland.
Are you any relation to Natalie Cochran, or how do you know her?
She is my niece.
And as you've heard, we're here and you're here to tell this jury why you think Natalie should get mercy and give this jury a better understanding of what type of person Natalie is. Okay.
Okay.
To that end, would you speak on behalf of Natalie and tell this jury what type of person you think she is?
Okay. Well, first of all,
And if you would, please speak into the microphone.
okay. First of all, because I've known Natalie all of her life, we've been in close contact ever since she was born. Natalie's always been the most compassionate, kind, caring person throughout her life, always putting others before herself. She is a loving mother and is selfless when it comes to the needs of her children. After Natalie's heart became worse and more difficult, toward times she couldn't drive, and her parents were trying to help, and they would have appointments, and my husband and I would drive the children to school in Greenbrier County. And on those trips, just being alone, usually when we were together, it was at big family gatherings, but just having the kids in the car, we became very close with the kids. And since the death of their dad, they became extra close to their mother, and she was just always there for them.
Now, ma'am, I want to interrupt you for just a moment. You're referring to some notes.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone other than you prepare them?
Oh, no, I prepared it.
Okay, and can it be assumed you jot some notes down to refresh your recollection?
Yes, definitely.
And you mentioned Natalie's heart problems.
Yes.
Were you aware that Natalie had not one, but 2 surgeries on her heart?
Yes.
And that she currently has an implant in her chest to help with her heartbeat?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Please go on.
That's okay. I just, since the kids have become so attached to their mom, I'm just asking that you would have mercy on her, that they might have some hope that at some point in time, when she does get out of prison, they would be able to spend some time with her. That would mean a lot to them. And I want to also emphasize that Natalie has always been faithful to volunteer her services and to help others. And I have a list here of things that I'm aware of personally that she has done. As a youth, she donated her money to buy Christmas presents for the needy. She would come to my elderly aunt's home and other elderly people to give them flu shots and to help with other necessary needs. She volunteered to conduct poison prevention demonstrations at local schools, conducted free health eating course for seniors. She conducted flu shots and clinics at the churches and at Sewing for Souls. She conducted health seminars at the Lions Club, she was a coordinator of juvenile diabetes awareness walks and education classes, organizes medicine planners for their elderly neighbors. She volunteered at Sewing for Souls and at her church with the Bible printing ministry. She taught cubbies and awanas at her church for 5 years and played the piano for 4 years at her local church. She even volunteered at Daniels Elementary when they lost their music teacher because of lack of funding, and she filled in free of charge. She volunteered at Habitat for Humanity as well as Homes for Seniors. And while in prison, she organized and helped with Bible studies, beginners, intermediate, and advanced Bible studies. She wrote 2 devotion books. I know one has been published. I think they both have. And they're using those in the prisons now. And even at Southern Regional Jail, they have some. But also in Kentucky and Tennessee, the prison ministries there are using the devotion and study books that she wrote for the women prisoners. I hope that you will consider Natalie's history of being generous, caring, and giving person, and consider giving her mercy on her sentence. And I I hope that you'll pray about it and ask God for wisdom and understanding to do the right thing. I know in Matthew chapter 5, verse 7, it says, "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy." And that was said by Jesus. I interpret that to mean that if we're merciful to other people, he will show us mercy. And so I'm asking that you will show grace and mercy to Natalie, just as our Savior Jesus Christ has shown grace and mercy to each of us. We don't deserve it. She might not either, but he gives it to us. It's free. And I'm asking that you would do that for Natalie, not so much for her sake, but for the sake of her children, her parents, and the family. And as you make your decision whether or not to show mercy or no mercy, I know you know your actions will be judged by Natalie's family and loved ones, by Michael's family and loved ones, by the prosecution, and by the defense. But none of that matters. That doesn't matter diddly squat. What really matters is that you will be judged by a powerful Almighty God. And in his word, he said, "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy." So I'm asking for you to please give her mercy on this conviction so that someday her children will be able to be in her presence.
Thank you.
Cross-examination.
You can, but it's old notes and I revamped them, so I've got little notes on there.
Okay.
Some things I didn't say.
That's just something that we have to do. Thank you, ma'am. Now, you describe Natalie as being a compassionate, kind, and caring person. Is that right?
It is. I've never seen her any other way.
So where do you think it all went wrong?
Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but she loved Michael with all of her heart. When he asked her to quit being a pharmacist because he was jealous of her coworker, he asked her to also be the woman because they were giving the contracts to women to start that business. And I believe she would have done whatever he said. And I believe she made some unwise, bad decisions.
I believe that too. You were talking about the Bible and the teachings of Jesus. Are you familiar with the Ten Commandments?
Yes, I am.
So you know one of those is, "Thou shalt not kill."
I do.
Do you believe that we're judged by that as well?
Yes, I do. I also believe God will forgive those. And he's asking us to forgive if we want to be forgiven.
I know you talked about her volunteering her time and money and services, especially with things like youth sports too, right?
I wasn't as aware of the youth sports thing. I was more aware of the community things.
That's fair. I don't think I have any more questions for you. Thank you, ma'am.
Anything further, Mr. Selden? No, Your Honor. Thank you, Ms. England. You may step down. You are
Thank
excused.
you.
Call your next witness, please, Mr. Selden.
Your Honor, I would like to call Rachel Carrico to the stand. Good morning, Ms. Carrico.
Good morning.
You appear very emotional. Are you okay? Can you testify?
Yes.
Okay. And if you would, please talk into the microphone
Okay.
so the jury can hear you.
Okay.
Please tell us your full name and spell it, please.
Yep, my name is Rachel Carrico, Rachel Carrico.
Thank you. How do you know Natalie Cochran?
Natalie is my aunt, but I would describe her as more than that. Like my mom was up here saying, she's been a very close and influential person in my life. I would consider her more of a mom than an aunt to me.
Okay, I just want to
Okay.
clarify. You said when your mom is up here testifying, your mother is Penny Carrico Lowery. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay, please go
Yes.
on.
Her kids they're my cousins, but we've always been like brother and sister. I'm an only child, so having them with me growing up has been a blessing to me, especially within the past 5 years. I think we've grown very close together because we've needed each other. But I would always be with them growing up. Natalie would always include me in anything that they were doing, big or small, whether it was going on a day trip or just going out to eat. They always invited me, and I've just been a member of their family.
Why do you think this jury should grant Natalie mercy? And you know what that means from the discussions, correct?
Yes.
So, why should they give her mercy?
I don't think anyone truly knows Natalie like we do. My family does. Like I said, she's been a mom to me, and she didn't have to do that. Just even last Wednesday, I had to put my dog down after court. And on Thursday, that's when my two cousins had testified. And Natalie called me after from Southern Regional, and it wasn't to talk about court, it was to check on me because I had lost my pet. And she's always been that way with me. She has included me like one of her kids. And when my mom was in the hospital, on my 17th birthday, Natalie bought me a cake, my favorite cake, and took me out to eat so I wouldn't have such a crappy birthday. She took me to Disney World. She taught me how to ski. She bought me my first Starbucks drink. She's had such an influence on my life, and looking back and even looking at now, I'm very thankful for the influence she has had on me, and it has been nothing but good. She has shown me how to love and be strong, and I love her kids tremendously. I will always be there, and it's because of her and her demonstrating that love. I know that there's been things said, but no one truly knows her like we do. And I just beg for mercy because we need it. We need her back. I can't fathom her not being around to not even see me get married or have kids, but much less her own kids. Just, we need hope.
I don't have any more questions, thank you. Oh, I do have one question. You talked about your 17th birthday. How old are you now?
I'm 26.
Okay, thank you.
Cross-examination.
Ms. Carrico, what do you do for a living?
I'm an occupational therapist,
So where did you go to school?
West Virginia University.
When did you graduate?
College,
Yeah.
May of 2022.
Okay. And you were one of the recipients of the Michael Cochran Literacy Scholarship, were you not?
Yes.
Did you ever get any of that money?
No.
You mentioned that the defendant was so influential on you. Can you be a little more specific other than just generalize she's a loving person? How else did she influence you?
To be smart and to strive for, what I wanted and encouraged me when I was in college, and just made sure that I knew like how proud she was and how good I was doing. And I mean, like, she's influenced what clothes I wear. I like to wear the same type of clothing that she did. And like I said, with coffee, I mean, it's little small things that have had a big impact, but also, just the characteristics of her.
Not to revisit this day, but anybody that's experienced putting a pet down knows how awful that is. And you got pretty emotional kind of recapturing that terrible day.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what it's like to be a mom and lose your son?
Be hard.
As understatements go, being hard would probably work, but it would be a lot more than just being hard, wouldn't it?
Sorry, I can barely hear the prosecutor. I would like to speak after.
Yes, sir. It would be more than hard to lose a son, correct?
I would say so.
You also mentioned that the defendant influenced you in terms of accomplishments, and you are clearly accomplished, so you can give her some credit for that. She, too, was accomplished. It's hard to get into pharmacy school, isn't it?
Yeah.
So she was well-equipped to deal with life in terms of finances just by not only getting in, but graduating and getting a job as a pharmacist. Isn't that true?
I know I'm not good with finances personally. I think you're good at what you specialize in, and so financially, I don't know.
Okay. In her influencing you, she didn't give you tips on how to run a Ponzi scheme or anything, did she?
No.
Okay. That's all the questions the state has. Thanks.
Anything further, Mr. Selden?
Yes, Your Honor, just a moment. Is it okay for me to call you Rachel?
Yes.
Now, Rachel, the prosecutor asked you questions about not getting money for your scholarship fund.
Yes.
That money was promised to you in the following school year.
Yes, it was going to be for my first fall semester of OT school.
Okay. And before that happened, you're aware that Natalie Cochran and Michael Cochran's assets were all seized. There wouldn't be any money for your scholarship fund, correct?
Yes.
Okay. There were questions about your scholarship fund, but did Natalie Cochran give you any other financial help, either in school or otherwise, over the years?
I don't know so much about school. My mom took care of most of that for me.
Right.
But they would always, like, she would buy me clothes, or she would pay for my meal if we were out eating, or to get my nails done if I was with them.
She helped you all along
Yeah.
with finances when you needed it. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
The prosecutor asked some questions about Natalie being equipped for life, etc. Did Natalie help you to become equipped for life and all of its bumps and challenges?
Yes.
And how did she do that?
Through natural life lessons, whether it was a breakup with a boyfriend in high school, she was there to console me and to tell me that things would be better, and it was okay to cry, but I would be stronger. Whether it was helping to motivate me when it came time, like my senior year of high school and starting college, and she gave me the talk of, what alcohol and drugs would be, and she would always be there to call if I ever needed help, and I didn't feel comfortable telling my own mom that she was there and she would do what she could to help me or protect me. I never doubted her love for me. I still don't. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I mean, that's sufficient. Now, did there come a time when Natalie Cochran had to have heart surgeries?
Yes.
Did you care for her in any way or at any time as a result of those surgeries?
Yes. Like I said, I was in college in Morgantown, and she had to have a heart surgery. It was like an outpatient surgery. It wasn't something huge, but I took her up to Morgantown, and we stayed at my apartment, and I took her to that surgery, and I waited for what felt like forever, and the nurse had actually called me and said, "Hey, this is the number that was on file, but Natalie's asking for a Michael. Do you know a Michael?" I was like, "I do, but he's not here." Like I would be there to get her, and I went and consoled her.
Let me clear something up here. You're talking about Michael Cochran, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And Michael was still alive at that time, correct?
No.
No, he'd already passed.
But she was under like an anesthetic, and
Okay.
so.
No further questions. Thank you.
Cross-examination, Mr. Truman.
State has no additional questions, Ms. Carrico.
Very well. Thank you very much. You may step down. Call your next witness, Mr. Selden.
The defense would like to call Larry Jessup. Would you please tell this court and the jury your name and how you spell it?
Larry Jessup, Larryjessup.
Mr. Jessup, are you any relation to Natalie Cochran?
Yes, I'm Natalie's daddy.
I am again going to ask you sort of open-ended questions. You're here on Natalie's behalf today, isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
And since you're Natalie's father, you know her pretty well. You've been with her all of her life, correct?
Yes, sir.
Would you please tell this jury what kind of person you know Natalie to be and why you think they should grant her mercy?
Well, Natalie was my daughter. Naturally, she grew up in our household. She was always a great youngster. She was always very giving person. She helped us, my wife and I, Daphne, all in her growing up years. She went to high school here in Beckley, and she, in high school, she did a lot of different things extra for her school.
Like what, if you recall?
Well, she's on committees, and she did social service work and that kind of thing.
Okay, please go on.
As far as the timeline in her life, I can kind of go along those kind of lines. My sister Sharon has already mentioned a lot of things that she did, and as she grew up. But she met Michael in high school, and he would come to our house, and so I got to be friends with him. And then they both went to WVU to school. And then they decided to get married in 2019. And then they were married May the 20th of 2020. They didn't have a place to stay, so my wife and I bought him a mobile home, and he didn't have a car to drive, so I gave him a pickup truck that I had. And so they went all the way through college at WVU, and then they went to Tennessee after they got out of school. They moved to Tennessee, and I think he went to work at a company called Nova, and she went to work as a pharmacist.
Okay.
And,
Please talk into the microphone. You're kind of fading out a little bit.
Okay,
Thank
try
you.
to do better.
You're doing fine, sir.
So my wife and I, we would go visit them periodically, and Michael and I would go fishing in the mountains at Pigeon Forge. They live right outside of Pigeon Forge.
I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. And we would visit them there, and our first grandchild was, well, not first grandchild, but the first one from Natalie and Michael was born in Tennessee, and then they moved back to here in 2006. And they bought a home on 4H Lake Road. It was repossessed by the bank, and it was in dire need of repair. So Michael and I worked on the house for about a year, repairing the house. And Michael and I became very, very close. And of course, Natalie, she would come over and help us, and my wife would keep the children. And then they moved, of course, into that house. They stayed with us while we were repairing the house. And then they've had a good life there. You know, they did a lot of things together. We did a lot of things with them.
What are some, now, I'm sure the jury wants to hear a lot of this history, but you said they did a lot of things together. Please tell what kinds of things and what Natalie was doing, if you would.
Well, you know, in your everyday life, you see, you just kind of go along. Some things you remember as events in their life. Other things are just every day going along together.
Can you speak to Natalie's personality, her character, things like that?
Well, just like she had always been, she was a very caring person. She took care of her family. She took care of us a lot of times. You know, if we needed something, she would help us. But as far as her family, she always put her family first and everything.
How old are you, sir?
77.
Has Natalie taken care of you for any physical ailments or anything like that?
She would always take care of, you know, me getting shots and that kind of thing. I had a massive heart attack in 2014, and she was always coming over, checking on me, blood pressure, my heart rate, and those kind of things. And then in January of 2015, I had a defibrillator and a pacemaker put in, and she was always trying to monitor those for me. Yes, sir.
I need just a moment, Your Honor.
Very well.
Mr. Jessup, as we get older, we kind of get some dates mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it true that Natalie and Michael got married in the year 2000, not 2019 or 2020?
Oh, I'm sorry, 2000. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble with my memory as I get older. Would you classify Natalie as a good daughter?
Certainly. Excellent daughter.
How would you classify her as a wife and mother?
again, excellent. She took care of Michael and the kids, did her, just as almost as a servant to them. Yes, sir.
You've talked about how close you were to Michael, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
And Natalie.
Yes, both. Mike and I developed a really just a minute. I'll be all right.
Okay.
A real
You're obviously very emotional.
Yeah.
Just take a moment, okay?
a real close relationship over the years. We hunted and fished together, went on vacations together. He took me deep sea fishing. He became just like a son to me. It was a very good relationship. We did a lot of things together and also with my grandson Ashton, his son, and then that went on for years. And then 2000, we had a lease in Greenbrier County, and we built a shelter up there. And he could do a lot of the work that I couldn't do. Of course, I was a little bit more able to do things then. That was about 10. I guess,
Okay.
10.
Let me just interrupt you for just a moment. It's obvious you had a very good relationship with Michael.
Yes.
You had a very good relationship with your daughter.
Yes, sir.
This jury has already found Natalie Cochran guilty of killing her husband, Michael.
Yes, sir. I understand.
Do you think she should be punished for that act by spending the rest of her life in prison?
Well, I would hope that the jury would see fit to grant her mercy. I know they made their decision. Certainly, I don't agree with it. I felt like that there was a lot of variables there and a lot of unanswered questions. So I would plead with the jury, have compassion, and to give her mercy. So, I mean, I'll never be able to touch her again. All the time I'll be able to see her be behind the glass wall. But, her kids, if she spends 15 years, they would be 35 and 33, I guess. So they would be able to have.
Yeah, take a moment, sir.
Okay. Some more time with her kids. But as far as I'm concerned, of course, she's my daughter. I thought she was the best kid we could ever have. We had 4 kids, and all of them were great. Okay. And so.
And I just, you're 77 now, right?
Yes.
So when Natalie is possibly up for parole, if the jury gives her mercy,
Yes.
if my math is correct, you're going to be 92 years old. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I don't figure I'll ever make it to 92 with my heart, but I would be 92. Mm-hmm.
So you may or may not be alive after that 15 years. Is that
That's
right?
correct. Yes.
Would you like the possibility of spending time with Natalie, not behind the glass or in prison, but in person, and hopefully you'll live that long and the jury would grant you mercy? Is that a hope of yours?
Certainly. Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have any more questions. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
Mr. Jessup, I just want to ask you one thing, and then I'll let you know, okay?
Okay.
Now, we've heard a lot of talk already this morning from other witnesses and from you about wanting to reunite Natalie with her kids so that they have their mom.
Yes.
How does it make you feel to know that they will never be reunited with their father?
Makes me extremely sad.
Thank you, sir. That's it. I have no further questions.
Anything further, Mr. Selden?
Yeah,
No, sir, just hold on.
No other questions for this witness. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jessup. You may step down. You are excused. Call your next witness, Mr. Selden.
Your Honor, this time we would like to call Daphne Jessup to the stand. Are you okay?
I'll be fine.
All right. Would you please tell this court and the jury your full name and spell it?
Daphne Jessup, D-A,
And talk into the microphone.
D-A-P-H-N-E, J-E-S-S-U-P.
Are you any relation to Natalie Cochran?
Yes, sir, I'm her mother.
And you're appearing here on her behalf, is that right?
Absolutely.
Would you please tell this jury what kind of a person Natalie is and was to you, and why they should consider granting her mercy?
Yes, sir. My husband and I didn't talk about what we were saying, but I did a little timeline. I thought that would help me stay focused today. But she was born to us late in life, and all the siblings were growing up and going, and she was still home with us. So there was the three of us, all through childhood.
Ma'am, if you would,
No,
slowly. So I want the jury to hear everything you have to say. Thank you.
all through childhood, she did terrific in school. There was never a problem. And I don't want to be funny, but the only problem I had with her in second grade, over half of her classroom got lice, and she was one of them. And so with her curly, tight hair, I had a hard time with her. That's the only thing. She was a wonderful child. She was active in cheerleading, music. Oh, she's talented. She can sing. She can play the piano. It embarrasses her too, and she gets nervous, so she seldom does it. But she could, I think she'd probably go to Nashville. She'd sing at church and things. But always a joy. And like others said, her aunt would give all the kids a good bit of money at Christmas. She always took her half of hers and gave it to others. And that's in childhood. And then in high school, it was the same way. She didn't date very much. She worked. She didn't have to work, but she wanted to work, and she worked at a sporting goods store. And that's where she met Michael. And they were 18 when he came to our house, and he became like a son to us. I made notes. I don't want to forget anything, but
Yes, ma'am. And I just want to clarify those notes.
yes, sir.
Those are your notes.
Yes,
To
sir.
refresh your memory.
Yes, sir.
Nobody else made them. Nobody else told you to write them down. Is that right?
No, sir.
Okay, go ahead, please.
So they dated, and then the summer after the 12th grade, I think it was, they graduated. Larry and I drove Michael other places to play summer baseball. He loved baseball. We stayed together in motels, Larry and Ashton, Michael, and then Natalie and myself.
Okay, just a little slower. I know you want to get it all out, and I want to hear it. I know the jury wants to hear it, so just, slow it down a little bit. Thank you.
So then college came, and after the first year of college, they were married. When they had the wedding, her professor had a band, a bluegrass band, and he brought his band down, and they played Civil War music for the wedding. We had it outdoors, and Michael wasn't real close to his dad at that time, his biological dad. But his dad came with his stepmother, and her name was Dream, I believe. They helped me. We painted. We did yard work. We put down mulch. And they were in his life at that time. After they were married, Dream and Mike gave him a cruise for a wedding present. So we took care of the wedding. His daddy and stepmother took care of their honeymoon. When they came back, we bought a nice trailer. A dentist had it, and we added patio and a porch to it. We made sure they had a car. We helped them to school all we could.
Okay, Did Natalie and Michael have much money at that time?
No, sir. She worked 3 jobs. At times she was working 3 of them. Michael tried, but Michael had a different temperament, and that's him, and that's fine. And he just couldn't work with public. Sometimes he would work at the school gym and get paid, helping people to exercise. He loved bodybuilding, so that was perfect for him. But she worked at different places to make money, and we tried to help. When they graduated, and before we took them on vacations with us, we did everything we could for the kids. We loved them and we were close. They moved to Tennessee for a little bit, and that's where Nikki was born, and I was there with Michael when a few hours after she was born. I stayed with them to help them. They came to live at our house and wanted to remodel that old house. So the men worked, and we think sometimes Michael was like married to my husband. He loved him so much. They hunted, they fished, they built on the house. Larry taught him electrical work and carpentry, because my husband had to do all that on 2 houses we built. So they worked every time they were able, weekends, holidays, after hours of work. Natalie would work extra shifts. She worked as a pharmacist in Oak Hill at that time, driving to CVS. I would keep the baby when I got home from teaching. And then they moved in their house, and here came Ashton. So now we're a family of 6, the 4 of them and the 2 of us. Again, vacations, holidays, moving in the house. And I retired when Ashton was born so that I could be their babysitter. I just don't want to leave anything out that I wanted to tell you.
Hold just a
Okay.
moment. Okay. If you would, as to Natalie and Michael's son, would you just refer to him as their son and not name him?
Yes, sir.
Because
Yes, sir.
he's a minor.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
All right. Please go ahead.
So we start going to on trips. We eat out. We do a lot of things as a family. And my husband's still working, so at this time, Michael and him take a few holidays. And Michael always, I think we were very close, and the kids said he loved me. I thought he did. I wouldn't know for sure. He never said he loved me, but he'd always say, "Daphne, you're going with us." And he was the domineering figure in the family, but Natalie didn't mind. I didn't mind. So I'd go with them while my husband stayed here and worked. I'd go on holidays with them. And I'd offer to stay in the room and take care of the kids at night so they could go to a dinner or something. He'd say, "No, you're going with us. I want you to go to this steakhouse." He always took care of me. He'd do anything he could for me, and I'd do anything I could for Michael.
Okay, slow down a little bit.
It broke our heart when he left this world. Our last trip was in the summer before Michael passed away, and we went to Ocracoke Island. The men fished, and we sat aside. We played in the water. They did the boards on the waves. It was a wonderful week, and Michael had a golf cart, and he got me a golf cart, and we'd ride the others around because that was fun for this person. But Michael was sleeping more and more. Even in the car on the ferry, he'd fall asleep. He wasn't staying awake much, and he'd hold his head a lot. He was sick. When we came home, there was foods he liked to eat, and he had asked me to cook, and he'd come after work. He liked breakfast foods in the evening, all breakfast foods at one time, and I'd fix it, and then he'd have to lay on the couch. He thought it was green mold that was making him sick. He was working in the house.
Ma'am, I don't want
Okay.
you to go into the case in chief.
Okay.
I want you to talk about Natalie's character, etc. We're not here to relitigate the case, okay?
Okay. I didn't want to bring the case up. No, sir.
Okay.
But
Thank
I was
you.
just telling you, I just wanted everybody to know that Michael and I had a good relationship. The kids did everything they could for me. Natalie helped me with my ministry, so did Michael. I was always all about kids. I love children of all colors, all sizes, and I've helped children and families in 45 countries. Michael helped me furnish, and Natalie, they helped me furnish seed in Zambia for Matambo village.
I'm sorry. Could you clarify that a little bit? What are you talking about?
Well, in Matambo village is one of my favorite villages in Africa, and I've been there twice. They plant things like corn, tomatoes, cabbages. The government buys it, and then the government didn't give them money one time, and they couldn't buy seed.
Who is they? Who are you referring
The
to?
Zambians under Pastor Mukatasha lives there. It's a village in Africa.
All right, go ahead.
So we bought sacks of seeds. It was a total of $5,000 for all the seed for the village. And I had every kid there a mattress and a blanket. They were $81 for a mattress and a
Okay,
blanket.
when you say we bought this, who are you talking about?
Well, I have a ministry, and it's under the church. Other churches and people support me. It's all these people, we work together.
Okay, I want you to concentrate on Natalie.
Okay. Well, that's what I said. Natalie and Michael gave me $5,000 one Christmas. And we finished getting every child in that village a blanket and a mattress, because it gets down to 40 degrees at night there, and some of them get close to fires and they burn.
Okay, let's skip ahead over that. So you're talking about Natalie and possibly Michael giving you money to help this village in Africa.
Yes.
Okay.
They also bought playground equipment for the school in that little village.
Okay. And when you say they, you're talking about
Michael
Natalie.
and Natalie.
Okay. Anything else?
Let me look through my notes if you don't mind real
Sure.
quick.
Go ahead, take your time.
I wasn't able to be here during some of the trial because they thought I might be a rebuttal witness or something, so I don't know what was said and done. But it bothered me when I came back and there was a picture of Michael on the floor. No one ever explained why he was there, but I knew why. People said, take a picture the next time he
Okay,
passes out.
ma'am. Again, we're not
Can't say that.
relitigating the case. We're talking about Natalie's character and why this jury should consider granting her mercy. So we don't want to relitigate the case, okay?
I'll just mention that then I begged for mercy. I don't know how to beg from you. My children, my grandchildren, they need their mother. Larry and I probably won't be here much longer at our age, if she's gone that long. We'll probably never get a hold of her again, but maybe her children can if you give us some mercy. And it's funny that Larry used hope, Penny used hope, and that's what I had in my notes. We need hope. We just need maybe the morrow's coming where she can look forward to something. And about her character, can I mention what she's done in the prisons?
Yes, you can.
She's written one devotional book, and it's being used a lot.
And for the record, you're showing that devotional book?
Yes, sir. This is her devotional book, and her daughter, Nikki, on the back did all the reflection pages. If you have journal writing in the prisons, federal prisons, you can have a book like this if it's for journaling and for religious reasons. So there's 2 reasons these girls get to keep these. And it helps inmates. It's Natalie's inner feelings about being there, things that she faced outside, inside. These girls relate to it. There's no one else that can relate like this girl does. And I hope God doesn't keep her there forever.
And you're pointing to Natalie, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
don't want God to keep her in prison forever, but she's a prison ministry person. And it's called the dandelion ministry, because even a dandelion will grow through concrete. I have my own ministry called Sowing for Souls, but I've also adopted this ministry, and I'm going to do all I can. I'm already doing things for inmates, and we get books, we get Bibles, we get clothes for them. Some of these girls have 0 people. They were raised on the street. Nobody knows the heartache these girls inmates in prisons go through.
Okay, I just want to interrupt you a little bit. You're talking about things Natalie has been doing in prison, both in the federal prison and possibly the Southern Regional Jail.
I think there was about 30 some of these books at Southern Regional, and a girl came out there the other day and told Natalie she had been in a drug rehab in Charleston. She said, they're using your book down there. The second book's at the publishers are on its way. I finished typing and doing things. It's been sent out. But she makes such a difference
She's worked for
and
administration.
again, you're talking about Natalie.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Natalie's worked for administration. She works as the barista at the prison that's serving the guards and people Starbucks coffee. She trains people to do that out on the streets once they're released.
And this is while she's been in prison.
Incarcerated, yes, sir.
Okay.
I didn't think she would live there. She's never struck a kid. She's never struck her pets or anything. She's soft voiced, and we all thought somebody will kill her. She's been in some situations, but there's always been someone to look after. She does not know the difference in the color of people, and I don't either. She does not notice the difference in sizes of people, and they know that. A woman wrote me and said as soon as she walked in the prison, they knew there was a difference there, a light, and she is a light, and that's what she's been to me. She's a light. And whenever I need something, she'll say, "Mommy, I'm fine. Don't worry, I'm fine." And so when I know she says fine, I know she's not really fine. She's just trying to keep me from being upset.
And again, you're talking about your
Natalie,
conversations
my
with
daughter.
you're talking about conversations with Natalie in prison,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. And we've run across so many good people. There are so many ugly people out there, how they treat others. But in her path, there have been so many good people, administrators and all that have helped. And I don't know if I can say it in court. No one would give her her heart medicine at Southern Regional. She was so sick. Senator Roberts helped me to get medicine for her. At the federal prison, people here didn't even sin that she had had heart surgery or heart problems. They didn't know, and they wouldn't give her anything. They wouldn't listen to Senator Roberts because he stayed.
Okay, I need to interrupt you here. When you say they, are you
The
talking?
administrators.
Hold on, let me ask my question. Are you saying the prison's personnel are not giving Natalie adequate medical treatment? Is that what you're saying?
They are now. They are now, thanks to Representative Carol Miller.
Let's not go into
Okay.
side names and issues.
Okay.
So you're concerned for Natalie's health while she's in prison. Would that be a fair statement?
Oh, yes, because every time she's drugged down here, she misses her heart appointments because they keep putting them out, and you never know when you have an appointment. They just come and get you sometime at 6:30 in the morning and say, "It's your appointment, let's go to Morgantown." But she hasn't had her heart looked at or some other problems. You look at her teeth. One tooth is falling out, her gums turn black, she can't get dental help. I beg for things like that, and I'll work for it. I'm not an advocate. I'm not a good speaker. You can
Okay,
see that.
Okay, let's, again, we don't want to get confused in side issues and names, but you're telling this jury about Natalie's neglect and improper care in prison. Is that what you're summarizing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. How old are you, ma'am?
It's 77.
So, like your husband, even if this jury gives Natalie mercy, you may not be alive when she gets out, possibly in 15 years.
I don't look for that. My mother lived to be over 100, but I don't feel like I can.
Okay. So you're hopeful that Natalie might get out and you might be able to spend more time with her. Is that correct?
I'd love to be able to spend, I want to hug her. And the bailiff here's let me give her a couple of hugs, but I want to just hold her for a long time.
Okay, now, this jury's already decided that Natalie has killed her husband, Michael. And you've talked about your close relationship with Michael, your husband's close relationship. Given that they've already made that decision, do you think Natalie should have the opportunity to be paroled in 15 years or more and have the opportunity to get out of prison even though they found she killed Michael?
I do. I beg. I don't know what else I can say except
please give mercy to her. It won't be for me probably, but be for her and her children and grandchildren someday.
Thank you, ma'am.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Ms. Jessup, how many years did you teach
30 years.
in Raleigh County?
Yes, sir.
What did you teach?
Elementary school mostly.
Wow, 30 years. Was Mr. Jessup a teacher too?
My husband,
Again, I'm having some trouble hearing the prosecutor.
Was Mr. Jessup a teacher too?
no, he worked at the Board of Education in accounting.
Oh, he did. He
He
was
was
there.
assistant down there to the main accountant.
Does he have a degree in accounting?
That was his major in school. And he was also a state tax examiner at one time. I think he wrote maybe the manual for that. At one time, I don't know if they still use the manual or not.
The defendant has a degree in pharmacy, correct?
She's a doctor of pharmacy.
So it's beyond just graduating from pharmacy school. She did something else?
Well, I think they put more title to it, more courses or something. Used to be you could be a pharmacist without having that doctorate degree, but it's more years or something at her time when she graduated.
And then she went on to get an MBA, right?
Access Health paid for that. And I went with her to take tests and things in Morgantown and stayed with her while she did group work with other people working on that degree.
As a teacher, you must have been ecstatic that your daughter did so well academically.
All of my children have done well. We strive to do well in school.
Now, did you and Mr. Jessup provide the financial aid for the defendant to go to pharmacy school?
We did all we could, but she worked, and I think they had some grants, because I had to put 4 through college. And
I'm sorry, you had to do what?
We had to put 4 children through college, and then we were helping Michael and Natalie together as much as we could financially.
You were also a victim of the Ponzi scheme, were you not?
I was not a victim of the Ponzi scheme.
So you and your husband didn't invest with the defendant in the contract?
I invested, I gave money to Michael's company at the time, $226. I knew what I was doing. I was investing.
$226 is all you had?
$226,000.
$226,000.
Or more.
$1,000, okay.
Thousands.
And you didn't get that money back?
No, all the money was seized and taken and sealed. We do not know how much money was in their accounts. We do not know how much money was in the company. No one investigated to see if this was maybe a scam on the kids. The kids would never hurt me. Michael and Natalie would never do anything to hurt us. Something's wrong, but no one investigated.
Didn't you file a claim as part of the federal restitution?
My husband took care of that but I think they didn't think we were victims. We're not victims. We'll never get any money back. Natalie asked the government to consider us victims. They said no. We tried to buy, if I'm doing something wrong, you tell me. We tried to buy Natalie's house for the children, put it in their name and our name. We offered, we could pay $320,000. We sold our house to do it. Michael's family fought us on that. At one time we were getting it, and then one judge backed out. They sold the house for $280,000 or $285,000, so the children don't have their home, they don't have their dad, they don't have their mom, they have 2 old people. And I'm so thankful for the other young folks that take care of the kids, teachers in Greenbrier County, principals. These kids can stay at their homes if there's ever snowstorms and things like that. That's why I said, you don't know the good people that have come out of this, the blessings we've seen from people.
And I gather by your discussion of times that you've been to Africa and helped people out and stuff that the defendant was raised in a very religious-oriented environment. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir, but I think she's more spiritual than I am. I cannot write and speak like she can, and how to reach other people. I help children, but yet it multiplied. We put in wells, we feed people, schools. I built schools. Nobody knows just all the people that come forward throughout the United States. There's a man in Zambia watching every minute of this, Pastor Luka Tasha. I've got people in Burma and different countries that are praying for us around. One of them prayed around the clock a whole month, a big church.
But back to my question, you raised the defendant in a very Christian, religious-oriented home. Is that
We
fair to
did.
say?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And since you've been involved with the defendant since she was put on this earth, right up into the present, where did things go off the track with her?
Well, if I overstep, you tell me to stop talking, because Michael was out of work. She was a pharmacist. He watched a movie called War Dogs, and I do not appreciate all the cursing, but he wanted me to watch it, so I watched it. He was going to do government contracts. In the movie, the two men go to prison for 20 years apiece or more. I think they're out now. And I begged him, I said, don't you do anything wrong. He said, I won't. And then he started to open it up to family, and I said, keep it in the family. I knew some of the family members involved. I did not know some of the doctors involved at the time and people like that. If you kept it in the family, I think things would be fine, but it got outside. And I don't think Michael was doing anything illegal. I think Michael thought he was doing right. They were going to look in to see if it was a scam. But then they had Natalie. Can I tell the jury what she pled to? It wasn't a Ponzi scheme. The first thing, and I wrote the numbers down on the indictment, was number 6. She bought Michael a black car frame. It doesn't even have a motor. It was a Cobra, and that's called money laundering because it went across state lines or something. The motor came from somewhere else. They didn't do a thing about that. The other thing, her name was on the bank account. If my husband gets arrested, my name's on the account. I'll probably go too. And the same with the kids. If Michael were here, he and Natalie would both be in trouble, but maybe some help would come for them. Michael and Natalie loves us. They would never hurt us in any way.
You and Mr. Jessup had 4 children, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And they're all still alive?
Yes, sir.
Can you think how awful it would be to lose one of them?
We lost one. We lost Michael. He was like a son to us.
And from his mother's perspective, that would be as bad or worse than your loss. Is that fair to say?
No, sir. I don't think it's fair to say. I'd like to say something, but I've not been negative about his family. And I don't know if I can do that in court, so I probably shouldn't say anything.
Okay. Thank you. State has no further questions.
Anything further, Mr. Selden?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Jessup, you said, if I recall correctly, that you tried to more or less salvage the Cochran's home from being auctioned off. You made an offer of over $300,000, is that right?
Yes, sir.
You wanted to buy it back so the children would have a place to stay.
Yes, sir. And the federal prosecutor asked me to...
Please, just listen to my question, okay? Now, because you couldn't do that for whatever reason, okay, you said that now the children don't have a home anymore and have to depend on others. Is that what you said?
They have a home with me.
Okay.
If I could have bought their home, their names would have been on the deed with all 4 of our names would on it. The home I bought now just has my husband and my names on it.
Okay, so you wanted the children to have their original home back and not be dependent on you and others. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir. I want them to have their home.
Okay. And if I'm correct, and you correct me if I'm not, You said Michael didn't do anything wrong. Is that what you've said?
He was trying not to do anything wrong. Something may have
Okay.
happened.
You said you don't believe Michael did anything wrong, but did you? What about Natalie?
No, sir. Neither one.
Okay.
They would never do anything wrong or not do anything to hurt us.
That's all, Your Honor.
Anything further, Mr. Clement?
State has no additional questions of Ms. Jessup. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Jessup. You may step down. All right, we continue with testimony provided by the defense. Please call your next witness, Mr. Selden.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we would like to call to the stand Angie Martin. Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you please state your full name and spell it for the record?
It's Angie Martin, Angie Martin.
Do you know Natalie Cochran?
Yes, sir.
How long have you known her? Approximately.
6 years. Maybe 5. I don't know. I'm not.
If you're going to speak, please speak
I'm not a
up.
good mathematician.
That's fine. If you would, please tell this jury about your experience with Natalie Cochran as a person and your familiarity with her character.
Okay.
And first, well, I'll get to that. Please go ahead.
Okay.
And again, you are referencing a piece of paper. Is that notes that you have written?
Yes.
Has anyone else provided you with those notes or told you to write anything down or anything of that nature?
No, sir.
Okay, please go ahead.
Natalie's son and my daughter dated 2 years on and off. That's how I began to know Natalie and her family. In the beginning of their relationship, I had no idea who he was, much less who his family was.
Okay, I just want to caution you. Mm-hmm. Their son is a minor,
Yep.
so when you're referring to him, just say their son.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
When my daughter began making plans to visit his house, I knew I had to find out more about this boy, like any other mother would do. I totally accidentally somehow came across Natalie's name as being a lady accused of murdering her husband. I immediately went into research mode, making sure this was not the boy's mother that my daughter was dating. Unfortunately, we discovered it was in fact the same family. I was skeptical. I knew this was young love and it would never last. I told myself not to worry about it. Guess what? The months went on and on and on. Then I realized, maybe this is something. As the months continued, I had several interactions with Natalie. Eventually, we started to become friends. She opened up to me about things that had happened with her family. As the months continued, Natalie began to work for me. She kept me organized. She was great with customers, and everybody loved her.
Okay. What is your business?
I own an antique shop.
Okay, please go on.
We did a lot of things together in the short amount of time that we knew each other. She was compassionate, she was loving, and caring for everyone around her. My daughter would go to their house multiple times throughout the relationship. She loved Natalie and always enjoyed her time at her house. My daughter and I had dinner at their house, game night. We even spent New Year's Eve with them.
Okay, now, I just want to clarify the time. This is when Michael Cochran was still alive, but Natalie had been indicted in the federal system. Is that correct?
Michael was not alive at this time.
Okay. But Natalie was
Natalie,
indicted.
yes.
Okay, please go ahead.
When Natalie was sentenced for 11 years, her parents and children were devastated. But through it all, Natalie stayed positive for her parents and her children. Her son and daughter have dealt with so much. They've lost their dad, the home they grew up in, and their mom for the last few years. Their mother means the world to them, and they mean the world to her. Nikki and M.A.C. want nothing more than their mother in their lives. They want her to be a part of their weddings, to have a chance to see her grandchildren, and just to be a part of each stage that they go through in their lives. Natalie's mother and father also want nothing more than just another chance to hold their daughter in their arms and know that everything would be okay once more. Natalie is a mother, she's a daughter, she's an aunt, niece, friend, but she's a human being that has a life just like we all do. She has taught both myself and my daughter that no matter how dark the tunnel could be, there will always be light at the end of that tunnel. She has proved that to us multiple times. Natalie has been strong and courageous throughout many trials and tribulations she has been through. For people to sit here today and consider this woman guilty of first-degree murder has left many people distraught and heartbroken. How can you, as a jury, convict Natalie Cochran of murdering her husband when there's been no hard evidence proven?
Now, ma'am, let me stop you there. That decision's been made.
Right.
It can't be questioned. Okay? You can't comment on
Sorry.
the jury's actions.
That's
And-
okay.
Okay, so please.
To
omit
pull
that.
this mother away from her children and family is just hard to understand. Whichever side you decide, I know that no matter what and no matter where, Natalie will forever be a great friend towards both me and my daughter. I ask that you please think long and hard about deciding Natalie's fate for the next chapter in her life. Consider mercy for Natalie. Think of her children while making this lifetime decision.
I don't think I have any questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination?
Ms. Martin, you never met Michael Cochran, right?
Unfortunately, I did not.
So I'll ask you a question that I've already asked here today. How do you feel knowing that because of their mother, these children will never have their father in their lives again?
Because of their mother,
She has been convicted of first-degree murder.
and how do I think they feel?
How do you feel knowing that those children will never have their father in their lives again?
I'm definitely sad for the kids, obviously.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Anything further, Mr. Selden?
No, Your Honor, nothing further of this witness.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. You may step down. You are excused. Call your next witness, Mr. Selden.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to call the Cochran's son, M.A.C., to the stand.
Very well.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How do you know Natalie Cochran? And, well, first of all, Your Honor, instead of this witness going through his full name, I'll just ask him to identify himself by the initials M.A.C.
All right, that would be appropriate.
And as you've heard, you're appearing here today on your mother's behalf, Natalie Cochran, to appeal to this jury to find mercy for your mother. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you're probably one of the two most familiar people with your mother.
Yes, sir.
I'll ask you, would you tell this jury why your mother should be granted mercy despite the fact that she's been convicted by this jury of first-degree murder? Would you please address the jury on that?
My mom has done.
Could you tilt the microphone up a little bit
Yeah.
and speak into it? Thank you.
My mom has been there through everything for me. Every baseball game, football game, school event. She's helped me live my day-to-day life. She still calls me more than once a day, as much as possible. And
I know this is hard for you. Just do the best you can, okay? If you need to take breaks, take breaks. Gather your thoughts, whatever you need.
after my dad died, we were all very depressed, a very sad family. She would always text me in the middle of the night, asking me if I want my midnight snack or checking up on me, making sure I'm good. She always let me do whatever made me happy. She took us to church.
If you need to use it, the Kleenex box is there. Let me direct questions a little bit. I know it's difficult for you to formulate your thoughts. How do you think your mother is needed in your life from this point on? She's been convicted, okay? She's going to prison. The question here today is, does she go to prison for the rest of her life? Or is she eligible for parole in 15 years for mercy? How do you think you need your mother in your life, or even if you think you need your mother in your life from this point forward?
I want my kids to have a grandmother. I want them to know her. I want them to be able to go over to their grandma's house and have Christmas and spend time with her. It's just...
Would you like her to be around and possibly out of prison if you get married or anything like that?
Yes.
You were close to your father as well as your mother, right?
Very.
And even though your mother's been convicted of your father's death, do you have any animosity towards your mother, any desire for her to stay in prison for the rest of her life, or anything like that?
Not at all. Not at all. I love both of them to death. and he knows that he was abusing steroids. It's his fault. Do anything to save him.
I'm sorry.
Do anything to save him. Both of them.
Who would do anything to save him?
I would.
Okay. Are you 17 years old?
Yes, sir.
And I don't mean to be leading, but if your mother is allowed to attempt to be paroled, it's going to be at least 15 years. So you'd be 32, right?
Yes, sir.
You'd have a lot of life left, right?
Yes, sir.
Would you want your mother to be involved in that life after at least 15 years?
Yes, sir.
What do you think you've learned from your mother in being raised by her and your father? What life lessons or attitudes or things that would help you cope with life have you learned from her? If you can put it into words.
To stay strong through everything, no matter what. And just to be nice. Just to be nice to people. Very kind human being.
You'll have some challenges in life from this point forward. You're only 17. You'll have to face many of life's problems, challenges. Do you think your mother, if she is allowed mercy, would help you through those difficult times?
Of course. Of course.
Would you like to make a plea to this jury on your mother's behalf for mercy? Would you like to address them?
I just hope you all understand that it's not just her life that y'all are picking and choosing to mess with, but it's the kids too and the whole families. And a lot of us really want her mom back. Really want her back. And I just beg you give her mercy. She's a great woman.
Thank you.
Cross-examination.
Few questions. You're in what grade in school?
Senior.
Oh, you're a senior.
Yes, sir.
What's your plans for next year?
Hopefully get a scholarship, play baseball at some college.
Do you know where you're going to go?
Not yet.
Do you have any idea what you want to do when you get there?
Go into some type of business form.
Kind of like your sister, she's in accounting. You want to have something similar or comparable to that?
Something like that, yes.
It's fair to say you've had a really bad last 5 or 6 years, right?
Yes, sir.
And during that time, you've lived with your grandma and grandpa Jessup, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Still do?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Even though it's not fun, life has gone on for you. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If I could have just a moment, please.
Very well.
That's all the questions this day has. Thank you.
Anything further, Mr. Selden?
No, Your Honor, not of this witness.
Thank you very much. You may step down. call your next witness, Mr. Selden.
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, the defense would like to call Nicole Cochran. Would you please state your full name and spell it for the record?
Nicole Cochran, Nicolecochran.
And what relationship, if any, to Natalie Cochran are you?
I'm her daughter.
How old are you?
19.
So, along with your brother, who just testified, you are probably one of the two most familiar people with your mother's character, temperament, everything as far as her possible qualifications for mercy. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
Do you wish your mother to be granted mercy by this jury?
Yes, very, very badly.
I know you're very emotional. I couldn't hear your answer. Take a moment,
Sorry.
please.
Yes, I do.
And I know this is a broad question, but can you tell this jury why you want your mother to receive mercy? And by that, I would like you to talk about how mercy or no mercy would affect your life.
She is my mother, but I've always kind of considered her to be my best friend. Growing up, it was Natalie, my mom, and she just meant the world to me. And she would do the basic motherly duties, like pack my lunches, take me to school, take me to music lessons, to tennis practices, but we also did so much above that. She would read me bedtime stories when I was a young girl, and she kind of brought forth my love for books from that. She used to do anything for me. She watched hours of YouTube videos to learn how to do my hair a certain way so that I could have it for tennis practices. I've missed so many moments with my mother. I've missed getting ready with her for proms. I missed having her when I got my driver's license. I've missed her at birthdays and Christmases and Thanksgivings. I missed her at my high school graduation, and I missed her on the day I moved into college. I'm begging you to give her mercy so that I don't have to miss more. I want her at my birthdays in the future. I want her there when I get married, when I have kids, if I'm able. I want her there for all the major milestones in my life that I have left.
Does that include those statements? And I'm not telling you to go on. Do you want to say anything else? I'm going to have a couple follow-up questions, but is that?
You can go ahead.
Okay. You're 20 now, is that right?
19.
19, sorry. Your mother now is 44. You know that?
Yes, sir.
So even if she's granted mercy, she's going to be in jail for a minimum of 15 years. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
So you're going to be 34 years old after 15 years, and your mother's going to be 59 years old. Do you know that?
Yes, sir.
Do you think if your mother gets paroled or is eligible for parole in 15 years at the age of 59, maybe 60, she would still have life lessons to teach you?
Yes, I do.
This jury has already found that your mother killed your father. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
You loved your father, correct?
Yes.
Do you have any malice or hatred or anything along those lines to your mother because of that?
No, I love her so much, and that just hasn't changed.
Okay, thank you.
Cross-examination?
I don't have any questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may step down, Ms. Cochran. Call your next witness, Mr. Selden.
Your Honor, at this point, we are no longer calling any more defense witnesses.
All right.